All right, we are live. Welcome, everybody. I thought I'd do another stream today. I had another idea for a site to build, and I just wanted to do this live so that people can learn from it and see what these tools are capable of. So let's dive in. First of all, I just think it's amazing how few people use AI. And obviously, it's everybody's prerogative, but I'm realizing that those of us who do are very, very early to this technology. And I'm thinking that it's a good thing to be early to this technology. It gives you an advantage, it gives you a leg up. And so I want that for my audience. So I just want to keep hammering this point home that one of the most important technologies that's ever come into our lives is now available for people to use. Check this chart out. I'm not exactly sure what the question is here. I think one of the conclusions of this Oxford study is that when people think of AI, they only know about ChatGPT for the most part, which of course is erroneous. But as far as how many people across the world use AI daily, weekly, monthly, or never, it is really a very small, select group of people who are using this technology to their own advantage. So I find that pretty amazing. I also think that for the most part, my audience on these channels is being purposefully kept in the dark and steered away from this technology. The same reason they're steered towards poisonous drugs and steroids. The economy is one big eugenics program, and we are not deemed desirable for the most part. So how do we buck this? Well, I think personally what I want to do is be an early adopter and be very proficient, get more out of this technology than my enemies. And then what are they going to do? If all the wrong people in their eyes are the early adopters getting the most value from this, what are they going to do? Are they going to neuter it? Are they going to shut it down? Are they going to ban us all? We'll have to see. But in my eyes, playing this out a number of different times, trying to think this through, I think the answer, game theory answer, is to, while it's a very powerful technology, while this window is open, extract as much value from it as possible and empower ourselves, our friends, good people around us, our family, as much as possible with this technology. So here are the results of the study. Only 7% of Americans use AI daily, 2% of Europeans, and 1% of Japanese. Wow. And then the weekly, looks like it's about twice that for most of these groups, 2 to 3 times. And then monthly, a little bit more on top of that. But still, people who use it daily, weekly, or monthly, in most cases, less than 20%. So we are very early, but it's still a very powerful tool. So I just wanted to come at this a different angle today. We're still going to be programming and teaching people how to throw together really awesome websites using ChatGPT in this case, but you can use other programming language, or excuse me, other AIs as well. I'm just a subscriber to 4.0 or to ChatGPT Pro, and it comes with a bunch of credits to 4.0. So I'd be not that good with money if I used another thing while I'm paying for this one. And technically 4.0 is like the best in the world as far as many, many benchmarks go. And for this type of coding, I think it is the best. So today what we're going to be doing is utilizing a service called Octo AI to make images. And they have something that, well, a lot of these sites and a lot of different online service providers have something called APIs. And APIs let us program and utilize other servers and just pay a small price, or sometimes it's a high price, but in this case, it's just a couple cents maybe, or a fraction of a cent per image that we generate. And what I really like about this site, I already have a demo going here somewhere. What I like about this site is it makes pretty good art. And there's a lot of different configuration options. And so what I wanted to do today as the challenge, as the demo, is from scratch make a AI image maker. And I already have one here. So we're not going to rebuild this one. What we're going to do instead is more of a grid-based format. And there's a lot of different settings that we have when we're making AI art using these types of tools. And I wanted to have it across the X and the Y axis. And I just thought maybe a Z axis would be cool, but that might be too involved. By the Z axis, I just mean like have a slider that you can change another third variable. And then you have one variable on the X axis, all the rows. Or excuse me, that'd be the columns. All the columns, your variable on the X axis. And then on the Y axis, you have another variable. And so some of our variables today, let me see, I think I had a list started here. So I was thinking prompt variations. And what's interesting is this type of tool, this tool especially in particular, has both a positive and a negative prompt. So for example, this example they have on their site, you see the prompt is a still frame from a commercial of a DeLorean parked in a bustling Times Square. Rainy night shot with droplets of water falling. And the negative prompt is blurry, low-res, poor quality. And then they have this checkpoint here, which I don't even know if I have this checkpoint in my list. Actually, I do. I have all these checkpoints. The ones I usually use are RealViz. It's interesting. I don't know why it's not showing up in my site here. Okay, that's the one I'm using. No, it's not. Crystal Clear. Oh, it's right here. I think the other day I was like way too zoomed in. And it was like collapsed and you had to scroll through. So let's try the same prompt with Crystal Clear. So all of these are based off the SDXL, the Standard Diffusion XL model, which is kind of interesting because Stable Diffusion used to be like this pioneer open source. They put out all their weights for free. They put out this XL model, and everybody hit the ground running with it. And everybody did their fine tunes with more labeled images. And so you get all these different checkpoints. But recently, and it might be because they've been sued massively, at least one time. They've been way more reluctant to put their stuff out open source, and they've also, in my assessment, taken a major hit to their quality. I'm guessing because they're being way more conservative about which art they're training on, which, you know, there's arguments as to training on copyrighted work being immoral, illegal, etc. So, we have all of these different checkpoints, all based off of further fine-tuning on the SDXL model. So for example, if I do the default SDXL model, and they do have this also style template over here, which is going to change it a little bit. Let's try this. So the default's pretty good too. They all kind of look the same, don't they? But if I change the 3D model to say, well, let's try one of these other ones. We'll keep it on 3D model first, which isn't probably the best. Now I'm wondering if there's actually any effect being taken by the... Did we try Crystal Clear? I think so. There's definitely an effect taken by the style template. Let's see, Copax Timeless. I just want to make sure there's something's happening here. It's hard to say, for sure. But if we change, for example, the style template to advertising or to alien, it's not my favorite one, but wow, these are all starting to look the same. I'm wondering if I'm using this right. Checkpoint. I haven't actually used this in a long time, since I made it. other than just to test before we went live here to see if it's still working. So this is the code behind the scenes. Let me see. Octo AI takes the style preset. Also, if there's a checkpoint passed in, okay, it is prefixing it with this Octo AI colon, which is what I see here. Oh, that's interesting. They have an add detail LoRa. That might be a good one to add later. I don't think I have that yet. Style preset. So how can I test this? I mean, it all looks very similar. Let's do like Cubist or comic book. Or craft clay. I mean, they all look the same. Shoot. Defeats the whole purpose. All right, let's open this in a new tab here. Let's just do craft clay for something about the Norman conquest. Yeah, there's something wrong here. That's unfortunate for the purposes of this demo here. What is wrong here? So it's definitely Octo AI. What we can do is print out the... Let's debug the API call definition here. Run this again. Okay, that's interesting. I'm not seeing the style. Oh, I do see style preset is base. That's interesting. Okay, so at least we're identifying the issue here. And do we even see checkpoint at all? I don't know how this isn't working. It's definitely on my end. Trying to move this text. Well, we'll drag it over. So I'm not seeing the checkpoint, and the style preset's wrong. So we can easily trace this through and figure out what's going wrong here. All right, that's too much to drag. I'm just gonna close and open. Okay, so we can solve this. Let me just hide my screen for 1 second to make sure I'm not showing my key here. And we'll fire this off with the network tab open. This will allow us to explore the request. Here we go. Okay, so we're calling the method generate image, and we're passing all this as the data. Data checkpoint, data style underscore preset. And this is going to my transcribe query file in my PHP folder. So we'll just trace this through. Generate image. Data. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so only... I'm just passing the prompt, the host, and the model. Let's open my methods file. Again, I like to separate handling HTTP requests. I do that in my query file. And then in my methods files is where I actually implement the heavy lifting. So I think I found the issue. I'm glad I noticed that, or we would have wasted a lot of credits and been like, I don't really see a difference. So if we find the right method here, actually, shoot, it's not in methods, it's in AI multimedia client, which is right here. So it's supposed to be an ops. There's supposed to be ops here with everything else. All right, let's use ChatGPT for this just because it's a good it's a good way to do this much faster. So I'm going to copy this whole thing. And we're going to go over to ChatGPT. So I have this PHP function. Currently, I'm not utilizing any of the options. Here's how I call it. And then I'll take this example here. Can you make me a loop that will look for all the keys that are valid options and send them in an array only if they're set as the fourth parameter to AI multimedia client generate image. So it should be able to knock this out. And welcome to the chat, everybody. Hope you're having a good day. I think this is going to be a good demonstration. This is just kind of how we troubleshoot things when there's an issue. I wasn't expecting to have an issue here, but this should just take 2 seconds. So it has this valid keys array. And then what we're going to do is have an ops, which starts out as an empty array. Then we loop through all of the valid keys. If it's set, which means if there's something in our data with that key, then we're going to pass it along. And I hope that'll work because well, we can always change this to match if it doesn't match already. All right, let's go back over here. So this should be right here. Then we got to pass this along. All right, so with that in place, let's do crystal clear analog film of the Norman Conquest. I was like, those all look the same. There should be a lot of variation. Okay, this is better. That's cool. Okay, so then, and why I like the Norman Conquest, by the way, I don't like it. I think it's a terrible thing. But it's very interesting if you've studied the history of words, the history of the language that we use, at least on this channel. Many of you speak English as well. The Norman Conquest is how we got a lot of French words inserted into the English language. All right, so let's try some other ones here. Let's try cinematic. Let's try advertising. Let's try 3D model. Let's try craft clay. Let's try photographic. I like the craft clay. It's so funny. All right, so here we have some variations. So the 3D model is pretty cool. This is advertising here. So as far as I could find, this is my favorite API. It's Octo AI for making images because of the checkpoints and the style presets. It's the craft clay. It's amazing that computers can do this. And so the technology here that's being used is called diffusion. So hence why it's called Stable Diffusion, the company. And so you can see here, this is basically the process. Once you've trained this model, which is kind of a more of an intricate process, which we can talk about. But once a diffusion model is trained, like all those are trained models that we're plugging into, what it does is it takes a randomly generated, noisy, just staticky photo. It's just pure noise right here. And then it takes a text prompt, a negative prompt, all these other settings, and it's been trained to remove noise in the direction of the prompt. So it's pretty amazing. It's not really adding things. It's kind of taking noise away is how to think about it. So for example, let's take this prompt, or let's do the beach photos. I'm always doing the Norman Conquest. So let's try some of these different models. And so here's the 3D render. So you can see definitely different aesthetics than the last time we did the oceans. Here's cinematic. Here is analog film. Let's do comic book. Let's do abstract. I've got to do the craft clay. The fantasy art might be cool here. Digital art. Dreamscape. And think about all the combinations here. So a big factor in all of this is what I typed in that box up there, right? So think about all the different possibilities here with the positive prompt, the negative prompt, the checkpoint, the style template. So this is a dreamscape here. Very pretty. So I was thinking this could be a cool tool for, say, a painter to come up with ideas and brainstorm. Get some cool, color template ideas. Or it's a good way to make, say, thumbnails for videos. So I'm just scrolling through. Here is abstract. Here's comic book. Wow. This is analog film. Cinematic. So this is all being done with diffusion technology, which is starting with a staticky image and then removing the static, or removing the noise is the technical term. And you might have seen this. I mean, I'm sure you saw Sora in the news a couple months ago. They've never released it. But recently there's a new kid on the block, a new Kling on the block, competing with Sora. Although, again, these things always get so much hype, and then they never come out. So just keep this in mind when people start yapping about Kling. It is still like a waiting list and only for people with Chinese phone numbers. It's out of China. But this is AI-generated video with the diffusion technology. So instead of just one frame, one image, with all the pixels really noised out, lots of noise, we have whole videos. So all the frames in a video, really noisy. And I don't know if they all start with the same noise, the same image of noise. It'll be very interesting to see. I'm not expecting this to be put out anytime soon, but they're claiming that this is done. And it does kind of look like it, because you can tell that there's differences between, it's not like a real photo or a real video. There's definitely issues, but I mean, that is crazy. So I think it's been pretty well shown that diffusion technology is very powerful. This is another one. I hadn't seen this one before the stream here. First time I'm seeing this. Because I saw a lot of these demos of people eating food. And I'm like, did they just train a model based off people eating food? Because wondering how versatile and powerful that could actually be for, say, making film. But here we have some other examples. Here is, I mean, this is the kind of lie that I don't like. Open access. It's not open access. So here's a train ride. You might have also seen the music generating AI, such as Udio, which I learned the other day is audio without the A. I don't know how I missed that. Udio, and Suno. Also, I think a lot of these companies are going to run into copyright issues. But it's amazing to see what the technology is capable of. And it's also, there's this interesting phenomenon that I've seen time and time again, that once people see something actually exist and that it's possible, the engineering becomes so much easier. Because people don't psych themselves out and be like, oh no, that's not possible, we can't do that. People just figure out how to do it. So this is crazy. It's a 2-minute clip. There's that really pretty tree at the beginning. Now we have the snowy landscape. So just a view out of a train window. And it's amazing too, the consistency of this train window. And then now it's like this tropical ocean. So you'll probably be hearing a bit about this from the people who always hype this stuff. Here's a boy riding a bike, a parrot, a panda playing a guitar, a bunny with a steaming cup of coffee, fish in the ocean. So I don't think it's good to just bury our heads in the sand and pretend like this stuff doesn't exist. Now, it might not exist, actually. I've been... It's funny that I said that. I've been very skeptical of the claims around Sora, but it's possible that that does exist. I mean, we're starting to see more and more reasons to believe. But I've always been of the opinion, like, until we can really play around with it and use it, we could be being hoaxed. But at the same time, like, if you had shown me this demo that we did earlier, which, isn't quite as impressive, obviously, as the video, I would have had a hard time believing this a couple years ago, that computers could generate this stuff so quickly for like a fraction of a cent. Okay, so on to today's challenge. We want to build from scratch a grid-based view for brainstorming ideas, because a lot of this comes down to, what are we typing in this box up here? What are the different settings? There are these 6 benchmarks. Actually, I don't even know if we need to use default SDXL. I mean, maybe. That's one of the features that I have kind of sketched out here on my interface drawings. I want to have like a left-hand menu with each of the different features in little check boxes. So if I don't want to do anime, although I might want to do anime, if I don't want to do alien, like let's see what alien is. If there's any features that I just don't really care to use credits on, I can just uncheck them. Alien's not too bad. Sometimes it just goes out of the way to put aliens in there though. Like let's do it with the Norman Conquest. Like obviously if you did nautical, it's going to be better suited for underwater stuff. I mean, yeah, this one's kind of weird. Like, what are all these guys up here? That's crazy. That's the alien mode. Okay, but what I'm thinking is, and I'll just do this live here. First of all, the way I usually like to do this is starting a new project in my Code Sculptor toolkit. This just does automatic backups for me, and then it helps me mass copy code, the certain code that I want to copy, into ChatGPT to ask for updates or complain about errors. So we'll just call this AI Art Brainstorm. We'll load this up. Okay, now we have a folder to play with. So I'm going to do a new tab, and let me just start way from scratch here. So when we're dealing with HTML, we have tags that are usually open and closed, matching open and closed tags. And the closed tag is the same as the open tag, but it has a slash before the tag name. There are exceptions, like the input tag. I'm blanking on the others. The link tag, etc. But for the most part, and even for those, you can't really go too wrong always closing your tags. So inside of our HTML, which is the main tag, we have a head and a body. And then the head is where we put all of our scripts. So I'm going to need jQuery Google CDN. Let me just grab version 2 here. And let me save this off as, I just want to get like the main structure with the top header bar and then the left bar and maybe a big go button at the bottom. So projects here, index.html. Index is a special page that'll be loaded up if you go just to the folder that contains it. So we have our jQuery, which is always, kind of my starting point. I want to have that jQuery. So then I can have my just standard script tag, so I can put JavaScript in here. And usually where I start is by having document.ready. So this is code that gets run once the page is all set up and ready to go. But there's nothing on our page, so let's do this as well. Also, I'm going to have a style tag, and this is where I can put any CSS rules. So we're going to be positioning things absolutely so that we can get them exactly where we want them, acting exactly like we want. So CSS is super important here. Okay, so we want the top bar. So a lot of HTML stuff is based off of rectangles. And div, short for divider or divide, is a very powerful tool here. And it's super customizable. You have to use CSS to make it do exactly what you want. But we'll give it an ID. It's going to be the only thing with this ID on the page. That's a rule. You can only give an ID to one element. So we're going to have the header at the top. Then we're going to have the left panel. And then we're going to have the main stage. And then we're going to have the footer. All right. Actually, I already messed up. These are going to be in the same element here. I'm going to have a div ID equals contents stage or something. I'm just making these up. And then in the style, the first thing I want to style is the entire HTML page. I'm not showing my screen. I'm so sorry. The entire HTML page. That's unfortunate that I wasn't showing my screen, but I was reading it out. So we have the body down here. We have the head with the Google loaded up. We have the script, which is where I can put all my JavaScript. We have the style where I could put all my CSS. We have my beginning of the body with a header, and then an element that has both the left panel and the main stage, and then we have our footer. And oftentimes we'll want to make things mobile friendly from the start, but I'm not going to worry about that here because this is a pretty intensive thing that's mostly just going to be on my computer. So now time for styles. So since all these things are IDs, the key selector is the hashtag. Hashtag followed by a word means we're selected by that ID. The ID in this case, we're going to start with header. Actually, I'm just going to kind of make an empty rule set for each of these. And then we'll see how they're all interconnected here. So one thing that all of these are going to have in common, actually we need one more up here for the HTML and the body. The HTML and the body, we're going to have margin 0, padding 0, so there's going to be no extra space on the outsides. Position, you could do fixed, but let's do absolute. Width, 100%. Height, 100%. So we're just taking the full width out. And I like to hammer this point home. Since we're position absolute, I can specify the top, left, right, and bottom. And I'm going to say 0 for all of those. Usually when we have a value like, say, 100, you'd want to put the unit always, like pixels. But for 0, all the units are the same. 0 is 0 in any unit, typically, unless you're like Fahrenheit or Celsius. So we have top, left, bottom, right. Then for the header, we want to have, actually for all of these, I'm going to have position absolute, width 100% for the footer and contents stage. For left panel, well, let's do like width 30%, leaving 70% for the main stage. Also, I want to do height 100% for these because it's of the parent. Height within the parent. For contents stage, and this might be something that'd be easier to do with ChatGPT at some point here, but we're almost there. For the header, I want it to be, say, 25 pixels. For the contents stage, what I'm going to do is have top 25 pixels, so that'll count for the header. And then bottom, let's do 30 pixels, which is going to be the height of our footer. And then what we can do is give just kind of interesting colors to each of these. Background red for the header. For the left panel, let's do blue. For the main stage, green. And for the footer, yellow. All right. Got to open this up in the right spot now. So localhost ML. Got to make sure I go to the right spot. Projects. AI Brainstormer. Okay, so we've made some mistakes here. What's really cool is the inspector tab. So Control-Shift-I, or I forgot what it is on Mac. F12, I think, works on all operating systems. It's slightly different for Mac. I don't use Mac. I'm too poor. All right, so let's see what's going wrong here. The footer, oh, okay, needs to be bottom 0. And we'll also say like left 0, right 0. So the reason I'm spelling this all out is because I think this will give us a good starting point to feed into ChatGPT. Give it enough context to see what we're doing. Okay, so let's try that again. Try not to mess up my screen sharing too much today. Speaking of which, let me just make sure it's good. Okay. So the main stage needs to be on the right, 0. Okay. Now we can take off all these annoying colors. Where's main stage? And I'm just going to do like shades of black essentially, which will be like 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So these colors are red, green, blue, two letters for each. And the lower it is, the darker it is. And it's in hex. So we're just going to pick random dark shades. 080808. Left panel 010101. Actually, don't really need that one up there. And the footer will be 232323. And we'll tweak that later, but it gives us enough differentiation and a good dark mode to play with. So probably don't need it to be 30%, 70%. We'll do like 2476. And that's good for now. So I'm thinking to put the grid over here, controls on the top, and a big go button at the bottom. So we'll put div class equals. Some people really don't like when people like me use divs for buttons. They think you should use button for buttons. But button comes along with a lot of baggage as far as styling goes. So I like a div because it's like a blank slate and it's whatever I put in. So we'll have this the go button. Then again, since we're IDing that element, we can just do hashtag go button. And for buttons, what I like to do is just padding 3 pixels, 5 pixels. We'll change this. Cursor, pointer. Now elements default to being 100% width, unless you do something like display inline block. And what am I forgetting here? Border radius always helps. We need a background. Let's do it green. And so I always just like to lay down enough that makes it super easy to tweak in the inspector mode. So coming back over here, that didn't work. Oh, I put a class on the go button. Should be ID. So I forgot to put color white. I also think, obviously we want that centered. So if we put this on text align center, yeah, that'll work. On the footer. And then what I also want to do is put some margin top, 3 pixels maybe, on the go button. So it's not perfect, but then I can come in here. And what's great is if you're in the inspector mode and you come over here, you can edit all these values. And there's some cool shortcuts. So padding 2 pixels, 5 pixels, there's 2 numbers there that I can edit. If I put my cursor, my blinking thing, on one of them and then I hit the up arrow, I can change it to my liking. I actually want to tweak the second number, so we'll click the second number, hit the up arrow, and that's good. What else? Let's do kind of a darker green maybe. It's fine for now. All right. So at the top, I wanted to have, and it's good to sketch these things out. It's the best way to manifest things. Once you have a sketch, it just all of a sudden appears in your digital world. I want to have 2 drop-down boxes up here for what I'm controlling on the X and the Y axis for my grid. And then I was also thinking of having a little slider up here, which, to be honest, I don't really know how to do from scratch here. We could use like jQuery UI slider, but I think there's a way that'll work with just native at this point in the browsers. Usually I'd be, careful not to use any features that won't work in like super old browsers. I don't really care for this purpose. If I ever need to release this, if I ever want to release this, I could go address any problems with old browsers on a case-by-case basis. Okay, so the header is now the important thing here. We want to have, let's just label this clearly, not just for ourselves, but for ChatGPT to run with it. So select ID equals dim1 cell. Give it a name. Now the interesting thing here, okay, actually the second select is going to be dependent a lot on what the first select is. So select is the dropdown. So inside of here, we want to have the options. Option value equals /option, just kind of the template. And then I'm going to put some text here and a value here. And I need to recall what my different parameters I want to tweak are. The base model, the style preset, number of steps, and the CFG value. Also, positive and negative prompt tweaking. So we'll put these in place. These are more important than steps in CFG. So the only consideration here is I'm going to have 2 selects with the same items, but I don't want to have any duplicates in the second list. Or excuse me, I don't want to have the item that's selected in the second list. So the base model, the style preset, the positive prompt. I'm still trying to think how to do this. Maybe it'll just make entirely new positive prompts that are variations and enhancements. Same with negative prompt. And you know what I'm realizing I'm missing is a prompt box. Maybe we'll put that over here at the top of the left-hand panel. I think that's a good spot. And let's just do that now. So as I showed in the last stream, a lot of times I like content editable divs versus text boxes. And I like how they behave when it comes to content that gets too tall for the space. It'll automatically enlarge it. And there's ways to do that with the text box, but it's way more fluid and seamless with content editable true. And we'll give this an ID. Prompt box. Give it a label. For labels, what's cool is you can do the for attribute. And what happens if you click on it is it focuses on what the label is for. So we'll put this in the for, and then inside the tag we'll say prompt. And then we'll duplicate this and we'll do negative prompt. And let's steal some of these ideas from them. Negative prompt, I liked this. Blurry, low res, poor quality. And I'm trying to think what a good starting point is for prompt. We already did a lot of oceans. Like the Taj Mahal or something. Just as, you know, something already pre-filled. I think I'm spelling that right. Okay. And then we can even get really fancy with this and create scenarios where like weird stuff's happening, cool stuff's happening. My creativity is tapped trying to make this implementation first. So leave ideas in the chat if you want to see something in particular. And let me make sure we're live on all the sites. Welcome, everybody. Hope you're having a good day so far. I'm not sure why Odyssey isn't working. Okay, we are working. Make sure we're on Rumble, all the sites. All right, good to go. So, also what I wanted to do is have some, let's just put a note here. Checkboxes to enable, disable, base models, style presets, etc. We have the num steps up here, just fleshing this out. CFG, which I don't fully understand. But this is one of the things that I wanted to uncover here is what do all these settings do? What are their impacts? All right, so now it's time to, say here, image grid with labeled dimensions, or with labeled rows and columns. And these are comments in HTML. We have our go button. So let's try this out. We might have to do some more styling. Also, I want to put a title on here so I can find it faster. AI Arts Brainstormer. Okay, so this needs some work up here. Also, let's use the label. And let's also over here, HTML and body, let's do background black. Color white. So I want to do this as a label. Class header label. So I've learned that the more context that we give ChatGPT, the better it can implement what we're looking for. So dim2 select / select. And what else here? Oh, I wanted to put a, so let's do something here. Div style equals float left. So that'll push everything on the left that's inside of here. And then I want to have a div style float right. And this might be overkill, but I wanted to have the zoom slider here. That's fine. Let's say grid zoom slider. And then after we have float stuff, we always need to put a div with clear both. CSS rule. All right, so next, I also want to put like a little X here between the two sides. So we can start fine-tuning this. And you know what? I'm just going to grab a Google font to make it look better. Maybe pick a unique one. Poppins is pretty nice. And we'll put here on the HTML in the body. Font family Poppins. Okay, the other thing is for header label, I was thinking like smaller and bold. Font weight bold. Font size 13 pixels. It's not too bad. And for here, let's call these like menu labels. Class equals menu label. And it'll be somewhat similar to what we had up here. Header label, menu label. We could probably go off with 1 or 2 pixels left. Shout out to ARAM in the chat. Good to see you. So I messed up content editable. Content editable. Let's revisit how this, oh, it's no dash. So now we can just edit this on the fly. And we're pretty zoomed in, actually. Still at 100. I always just zoom in, and it makes it weird because then I'll just develop at what it looks good at 150% zoom or something crazy. That's just how I use websites. I just zoom to my liking. Okay, let's also just add a little margin top on these menu labels. Space it out a little bit. Did that even work? ARAM says somebody is trying to stigmatize donating to streamers. Yeah, that's ridiculous. Yeah, I've seen a lot of crazy stuff like that, where they try to equate it and associate it with like being a grifter. Like, oh, you're putting out free content for people? Grifter? Or they call people e-beggars or something ridiculous. All right, let's see here. I have an error with my menu label for prompt box. Okay, that'll help. But still, that is not being respected, that margin top. That's bizarre. It's not the end of the world. We'll figure that out later. All right, so now we're getting to the fun part. So I just wanted to kind of do some scaffolding, get it all ready to go. And now we're going to turn it over to ChatGPT. But really what I want to do here is do it as a, well, you know, maybe I turn to jQuery plugins too much. Do I need this as a jQuery plugin? Not really. Although, yeah, I think I do. I think I do need it as a jQuery plugin. And it'll give us a chance to leverage what we made yesterday. All right, so I was kind of already playing around with this. Image Gen Brainstormer, a jQuery plugin that will take a prompt content editable div and help. So a prompt. Let's see, 2 content editable divs, positive and negative prompts, and help come up with ideas for prompt variations, positive and negative prompts, and different combinations of parameters for image generation, base model, style preset, steps, CFG. Everything will revolve around a grid of images to help make decisions and steer the brainstorming in the direction of the user's choice. And then I'll say, these are the checkpoints. Realizing I should have done a content editable here too. It's all right. And here's the HTML I have so far. A lot of work to be done. I'll put in parentheses. So again, we're going to use Qwen. And since I have ChatGPT, let's just also ask ChatGPT. Well, actually, that was something I wanted to build into the toolkit here. Maybe we'll do it here, maybe not. We have a lot of other stuff to do, so I'm not going to worry about it. But I was thinking about putting a little copy button to copy the query itself, so I can go try it on different platforms. But let's see what this came up with. So, .ImageGen Brainstormer takes a positive prompt. We'll change this to L to indicate we're not actually taking the prompt, the text, but we're taking we're defining an element that could change. We're going to change this go button to $go button, so the actual selector. Same with these. So we're just defining how do we want this to work. It's usually the best way to make a function or a class or a plugin is put yourself in the user's shoes, which you're the first user, the most important user usually. Not always, but it's fun to think about it that way. And think about how do I want this to, if this was to exist and if I could just pull this off the shelf, how would I want it to work in a perfect world? And just think about it starting from ease of use and then make it so that it's easy to use and perfect. All right, so init, options, really none of these are needed. Generate images, display images, select checkpoints. So at this point, we're trying to think about how we want this plugin to work. I think by designing a great self-descriptive list of functions, we can really tee it up for ChatGPT to knock it out of the park. So select checkpoint, select dimension 1. Yeah, these really aren't necessary. I don't know. So we're using Qwen 2, which is super cheap. Well, not super cheap, but it's much cheaper. It's like 90% cheaper than ChatGPT via the API. So let's see here. Enable base models Oh man, this is so bad. Okay, so what I want to do at this point, make sure I don't lose this code, or my prompt here. I want to add something to our plugin designer that we built in the last stream, if you didn't see. And find where this thing's located. I want to put a copy button. And I should probably be doing more demonstrations with how can we get ChatGPT to do this for us if we don't know how to program. But I don't want to copy and paste huge swaths of code. So let's find the key segment right here. Example usage call is a label. Then example usage. So if I put an icon right here, I class equals, and I need font awesome. Let's find font awesome. This is a library of icons that you can use on your pages. It makes it super easy to inject icons all over the place. So let's find that I. So it's class equals FA for font awesome, then FA-copy is the one we want here. And we'll give it another class as well. We'll give it an ID, copy usage call. I also like to give it like a title. Title equals copy usage call prompt. So if you mouse over it, it's going to tell you this little title. And this will allow us to leverage it for clicking, handling. And then right here, I also want to put a class for like small copy icon, so we can do all of these at the same time, because I want another one here for list of functions, then another one here for the, that's really all we need. That's all we need. So we want to change some stuff here. So copy functions, actually not call, prompt. Prompt. And then I'm going to grab these, a couple things here because we're multitasking. So we need to stylize and click handle. And so in our .ready, when they click on each of these, will handle the click. And then also we're going to go to the CSS if we can find it. And just make a little quick rule here. Cursor pointer. So cursor pointer puts a little hand, you know, the icon that when you're moused over something that you can click, it has like a hand with a finger up, which makes it much more inviting to click on. And then we're going to have it color, which is the font color, blue. We'll do font weight. Well, it's fine. So let's just make sure this looks good. Nope. So for some reason we have the label taking up full width. Display block here is the problem. So let's try something else here. Where is it? Okay, right here. So I'll wrap this in a div, which will take full width, but we have two elements in here. And so what I want to do is for this label, style equals display inline block. Same for this. Try it again. That's better. I hate that blue color there, though. Let's see. It's better. All right, so what I want to do on this is be able to copy the prompt. So, you know what? One thing I need over here is from ChatGPT. We use this already. Give me a JavaScript function, copy text to clipboard text. So I can use these in both I can use this in both these cases. Looks like it's giving me two functions. Just go with it. Put it in with my other functions. And so then here, the tricky thing now is I need to actually find out where, I don't think I'm actually saving these prompts anywhere, which is something I should do, and then I can copy them. So, we'll just do last usage prompt. And last functions prompt. Make these our global variables. So anything we define outside of any closures. So at the top of our script tag. And we can even do commas to do it in one line with a var. These get defined on the window. So these get defined as global variables, essentially. So we can access them anywhere. And we'll do just that. So we need to make sure we set them so that we can copy them later. So when the make prompt button gets clicked, we're doing these two, actually, excuse me. When the submit button gets clicked, we're doing these two run prompts. So last functions prompt is equal to, last usage prompt is equal to, and I want the, this is, tell me the functions. And then down here, this is tell me the usage. So a little overkill, but it's good to have in the future. So I always like to build functionality in that I wish I had. Of course, we could always save time and just never build anything. But once you build it, you're going to save time down the road is the hope. All right, so that should work. Coming back. AI art. Brainstormer. So again, we're making a jQuery plugin to do the heavy lifting with the grid management and everything. Connect all of our input fields and such. I'm gonna hit go here. It's now asking Quen. I'm gonna hit copy. And then we're gonna go to ChatGPT. Hopefully this works. Okay, so this is the prompt. I'm making a jQuery plugin. I need your help to do the usage.js snippet. And then I'm going to say, I'd rather pass the jQuery selector or selection versus the selector string for all of these. But it looks like it gets the idea much better. It seems to outperform Quen, I would say, by far. But we'll just go with this. All right, so we'll bring that over to our HTML. On the ready, we'll set up this plugin, which doesn't exist yet. But I think it's a good place to start. If something did exist, what would be the perfect way to call it? It's pretty good. All right, so then we'll do the other half of the equation, list of functions. Control K starts a new chat. Initialize plugin, generate image grid, update prompts, Fetch image variations. Yeah, I feel like we need to do a couple rounds of correction here. Apply dimension selection. This is definitely like the hardest part of the whole process, is really trying to come up with a good game plan here. So I like a lot of this. Let's just copy. Here are my thoughts. And we'll start with just with pasting. Please update accordingly. So what are we going to say? Initialize plugin's good. Generate image grid. Dimension 1, dimension 2. Let's go down here. We need these functions. So update slider value. I mean, a lot of this stuff really isn't needed. I mean, we're still going to do it somewhere, but sometimes it's good not to have a million functions. Refresh grid. Let's see, take these off. C notes. This should be in initialize. Handle, go button, click. I mean, a lot of these are just not how I would do it, so I'm going to take them off. And I don't really need to explain myself to ChatGPT at this point, but let's see. Initialize. Generate image grid. Some of this just isn't sitting well with me. Update prompts. Let's see. What do we really need? We need to have a way that we need these functions. Set up left panel. Options. Set up dimension to select. And what's it doing for the grid? That's the main thing. Generate image grid. Dimension 1 and dimension 2. It should just be able to, well, that's fine. Update prompts. I don't think we need this. Don't see the point. Refresh grid, populate select options. I like mine better. Fetch image variations. Alter these. So fetch image variations. The problem with this is it takes a base model, style preset, steps, and CFG. So what I would rather is alter these should be specifically for certain, well, let's see, should be copied in into two functions fetch image, positive prompt. Okay, I think that's it. Positive prompt variations. Negative prompt variations. Set up left panel options. Set up dimension to select. Or, that's fine. Apply dimension selection. Okay, that's fine. Refresh grid. Set prompt content. Don't need that. Well, let's do the same thing down here. Should turn into two functions. Set positive prompt content and set negative. What else we got? Zoom grid, I like that. Update. What about setup zoom slider? And then I'll say also we have this usage example. We need to update to match. For example, adding the zoom slider container element. All right. I think we're getting close here. It doesn't have to be perfect. Handle, go, button click. I'm going to add that, change that to the alter section. Should be generate images for, let's do generate images. Oh, for grid. That's good. And we'll put, and then I'll say at the bottom, I probably forgot a lot, forgot/missed a lot. So please interpret my intent and enhance my brainstorming. All right, let's see what I can do. Initialize, generate image grid. Apply dimension selection. Toggle model selection. Okay, I like that. Toggle style preset selection. Zoom grid. Okay, this is much better. And it's giving me a new HTML. But I don't really want... Okay, I do want this section here, the zoom slider. Because we just put a little placeholder for that. What else you got? ChatGPT. Some CSS for the zoom slider. We'll try it. All right, the key thing I want here is this list of functions. So what's cool is based off how we designed in the last stream, this toolkit, I can just copy paste this into here. Shoot. It added some weird, go through my text editor. All right, and then the API call. Let's find the API call. Oh, that's so ugly. It's not really a jQuery plugin at that point. So I have in my code, though, all we need to do is add in the zoom slider CC, zoom slider. CC I just put for containing container or something. I don't know. I saw that somewhere. Let's use it. All right, so now that we have this, and we have our, put the list of functions in the wrong spot. Now I'm going to click generate, and it's going to flush this all out. And before we give it to ChatGPT, maybe we should, or before we make the final prompt, maybe we should put some notes in here. So what is initialize supposed to do? Call setup, call this dot whatever, setup left panel options, comma this dot setup zoom slider, I think is what it's called. Yeah. What else? We want to give it as much context as possible. This dot setup dimensions to select. What is set positive prompt content? Oh, wait, that's fine. We're just not going to need that at the beginning here. That's the main thing for that. Also, I do want to take the opportunity to put some other notes up here. Document.ready. I'm not showing my screen, so sorry. Document.ready. So what I want to do here is set up the event listeners. Put a little comment here. Set up event listeners for plugin. Go button, click, or let's see, go button, click handler. Dimension selects. So let's add here. What I like to do instead of, well, there's a number of ways to skin the cat here, so to speak. We could add classes onto each of the elements that get passed in, or we can just use them as elements. All right, but the key thing is I just want to show what ChatGPT could do, so I'm not going to write the code myself. Let's do make prompt. And come down here. And I'm making a jQuery plugin. I've designed the API. I need you to implement the perfect complete code. So let's go Control K, start a new chat, paste that off. And see how we do. So it's making the plugin on the page, which is a little bit annoying, but we can just copy this to its own spot. Okay, not the best run ever, but we can work with that. Let's see what it does. So what I'm going to do is make a new JavaScript file in a new JS folder, a new plugin folder called AI Art Brainstormer. And we're going to use that same name, .js. And then we have to import. So we'll use this as a starting point. So JS/that/that. Okay. And I think we're ready to try it. Let's try it. No way it works. let's eyeball what it's doing. Okay, so it left a lot out of the code here. Let's complain to ChatGPT. You didn't actually implement all the functions. Try again. You'll be asked to redo until complete. Also, I want the plugin in its own JS file. And I'll give it the name of the file. Okay. So for some reason it is trying to put these selects here. Why is it putting those? It's just really messing up my page here. And it's still not implementing the code. What the hell? All right, so it's failing on us here. How can we get this back on the rails? Let's see. I do like the idea of some of these. OctoAI, SDXL, checkpoints select, style preset select. I want these underneath my... No, but it's still not right because... Let's see. Not even close. I want... And these. So the checkpoint select and the style preset select to actually be a list of all the options with checkboxes to toggle each on or off. I don't think you understand what we're doing. I want the dimensions selects in the header to dictate the grid, dictate what's shown in the grid. The second dimension select should have all the options of the first select except not the current selection. In other words, the two selects should be exclusive and not allowed to have the same selection. All right, so also for num steps and CFG, I want there to be min, max, and number of steps numerical input text boxes. These settings will dictate how the grid is organized, how many rows and columns, etc. Let's walk through an example. If I select, let's do probably the one that'll be the most fun. Base model for dimension 1 and style template for dimension 2. Then I should have, how many rows and columns is that? Let's go to actually this over here. So these are my checkpoints. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How should it work with the rows and the columns? Ah, shit, wrong button. I'm thinking if dimension 1 should be the rows, I should have... Okay, so dimension 1, let's see, the unique values for dimension 1 are each of our grid rows, and the unique values for dimension 2 are the grid columns. Let's walk through an example. If I select base model for dimension 1 and style template for dimension 2, then I should have 6, or let's see, checkpoint models, what I meant to say. I should have 6 rows, 1 for each checkpoint, and we got to find a better way to count these. Let's see. This is where jQuery is helpful. If I do $, and then in the parentheses a string, hashtag, so this gives me the select, and then if I do .find options, or if I just did space option, then I do .length, 66. Oh, that's kind of concerning. If I have 6 rows and 66 columns, 1 for each of the style template, except in the cases where I deselect any of the options in the checkboxes in the left panel. Does this make sense? Okay, let's see what it comes up with. Again, I'm not sure why it's doing this. Model 1, Model 2. It does look better, though. But again, I want the dimensions in the header, I thought. It's just overriding it. It's not the end of the world to put it on the left. I want it on the header, though. A couple of mistakes. I want the dimensions on the left. I want the plugin to automatically fill in all the options for styles and checkpoints. For the checkbox options on the left. Let's see. I think that was the main thing. Please stay more true to my initial HTML SketchUp. And maybe we'll add a little bit more before we feed it to it. So I do kind of like the example it gave up here. For model selection and style presets in the left panel. That's the header. Here's the left panel. I want it to be the label, though. So we'll use label. So it matches. And we'll take these off. And I do want to pass these in as part of the this thing. All right. So I just find it so amazing that these language models can just roll with these punches. and I can just throw huge amounts of text at it, including code, web, HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Go back and forth, back and forth. And, clearly it's not perfect yet. Far from it. But then again, I probably didn't do the best job explaining what I was looking for initially. Okay, so this is what it's saying to use for the HTML. And it's coming up with the JavaScript, the jQuery plugin. Much lengthier than before. And also what I'm going to do is take the opportunity to set this equal to a global variable. For AI prompt, or AI art, brainstorm equals the result of this jQuery call. All right, let's see how it did. How is it getting these so wrong here? The models and the styles are wrong here. This isn't right. Here's the actual list. Obviously, transform from selects to checkbox lists. Let's see if we can find something else to complain about. Same time, I can change the CSS here. Model selection. Let's see. Oh, that's good. You see how it changes? I can't pick the same two. That's good. And it defaults to base model and style preset. Perfect. All right, we're making some ground here. Let's just complain about this. Now, while it thinks, I want to go back to my code sculptor, which is a tool that I made so that I can easily copy and paste multiple files into ChatGPT at speed. So I'm going to check these two. These are the two main files in my directory here. And I'm trying to come up with a good explanation of what we're doing. Call this objectives. jQuery plugin that will... Man, I had a lot of typos here. That will come up with ideas for prompt variations. All right. And then I also had a good explanation. A couple text messages back. Tack on there. Not even close. I want, let's see. I want the dimensions selects in the header to be what's shown in the grid. I think all this is pretty good. So that's my global. Come back over here. Objectives. Then I can drag my two code snippets, and we'll save this as codebase. Saved query. Hit the record button. All right, let's see what it came up with. So I'm seeing a lot of these are still not implemented, which is fine. So here's the new HTML it's given me. about the same length. And then the jQuery plugin. Much longer now. Probably just because of the complete lists of the styles and the checkpoints. Oh, I broke something. Self.options is undefined. What is self? So let's just refresh here. So whenever there's a break, it'll pause if you have the debugger open, if there's an exception. And let's go to console. Is self a real thing? No. What is this? This is weird. Why is that? Okay, because we're in a for each there. Let's just do this. I bet you if we put I think I just missed this line here. Should just have a self equals this line. So this is a special word for when we're inside these functions, inside of a jQuery plugin like this. And what it's basically saying is that we're talking about the current instance, because we might have 10 of these on a page. Unlikely for this example, but for jQuery plugins, you might have a number of instances of each plugin. And so this is talking about the current instance. So it keeps everything organized. And then oftentimes, if you lose the context of this, like in here, when you're doing for each, I'm pretty sure it hijacks this, which is a problem. So let's just refresh this, see if it works. Seemed to help. Okay, but there's a problem on the left here. Let's just do this ourselves. And this is where it's great to have something that we can copy and paste in mass. So on the left panel, I want to have overflow auto. And now we're scrolling on the left. So let's put that on the left panel. All right. So, I'm trying to think what else we can do. These are a little spaced out for my liking. A little big. Make them a bit smaller. Although I am super zoomed in. Combine a zoom out and a font smaller. And let's also see if we like put a line height here, 10 pixels. Doesn't really help. Helps a little. It's fine for now. That's not the real big issue. The other thing I want is to fix this to make a dark mode. Content editable. Background should be black. Color should be white. Border should be faint. I just saw it. All right, so get in there. The Taj Mahal, blurry, low res, poor quality is the negative prompt. The model selection, let's see, it'd be nice to have a uncheck all button, or let's see, to have check all and uncheck all buttons for the checkbox lists. So one thing about GPT 4.0 is that it gives you all the code all the time, typically. And I think that one of the reasons why they did this is because of all these things like Devon, if you've seen Devon, and these different, I'm trying to remember the other names of the things. There's Open Devon. There are these tools that people have built to like attempt to automate the development process. and I'm sure they were just losing code left and right. Because the way ChatGPT worked, number 4. So sometimes I like it, sometimes I dislike it. But it is what it is. Okay, so let's trace this through. What happens when we click this Go button? So again, if you go to Debugger, it opens up your code. If you do hit Control-Shift-F, you can search through all of the loaded code. So it's calling it Go button. Let's search for that. So it says it's doing this in the setup left panel options, which probably isn't the best place for this. So I'd rather put this in. Also, like, this is where it's supposed to be doing the grid or the well, we'll do that in a second. This part here, populate options, should be in the other spot. But I'm going to put this in initialize because I only want to set this up once to listen for the Go button because I might be calling the other thing multiple times. Populate options, where is this getting called? In initialize. I want to move this into setup left panel options. Realizing I forgot to bring the key. That's, well, it is here, I think. Okay. Let's see what it did with the select, deselect all. Search, check all. So the control buttons. Okay, it's fine. And is it going to give us some styles for this? It does. All right, and then we need the logic. Does this get passed as the jQuery? No, where does this get in? Stupid. Oh, here we go. Check all. Yeah, this is weird how it's doing this. We can improve upon this. So actually, I'm going to put this into the new ready list, or the new ready function. I'm going to put at the top of this page, document.ready. This is on the actual plugin. So it actually made a mistake here. It would work if you just have one of the plugins, but we always want to design jQuery plugins that'll work regardless of how many you have. So I'm actually going to change these all to classes. When it's clicked, what we need to do is find, we can't use self.options here. We need to go this dot closest and what can we leverage on this front? So closest is the opposite of find with jQuery. So find is cool because it goes downwards through the DOM to all the children and the descendants. But closest goes the other way, goes to ancestors. So with the two, you can do a ton of stuff. But what we need to make sure is that we have, yeah, we don't have a wrapper around these yet. So let's do that. Just going to put a parent container here to keep it segmented. So we'll call this class equals, and this is a little bit messy to do this way. In the future, if I really wanted to extend this, I'd probably wrap this all into the setup initialization part. So I just point it at a panel somewhere that'll take all these options and it'll fill it in. But this is fine for now. It's overkill for now, honestly. Select model selection CC. And then down here we'll do, wait. Okay. I don't know why it has this select here. Sorry, I'm not showing my screen. It really doesn't need this. We need to remove that because we don't have a selection anymore. All right, we'll get that. So down here, /div. So I wish ChatGPT was better so I could just say, well, just type in and tell it what you want. This is more of a complex task, so I'm showing like how do we do complex tasks with the tools we have. And I want to try to get this done in one sitting here, so I'm cheating a little bit doing manual programming. All right, let's see. This is the style selection. Then what we can do, take these. These are going to be what we go up the DOM. So for check all models, we want to go up to the closest element with class model selection, then downwards find all the checkboxes, check them. And same with the unchecked models. For styles, we want to go up to this and then down to the checkboxes. And then same here. Also, I changed them to classes. And we want to take these selects off too. Oh wait, no, that's fine. These selects are these are needed because that's where the actual checkboxes go. That's fine. Okay, I misread that. So we're closer than I thought. What I need though is to make these classes. Okay, class equals, class equals, class equals, class equals. These should probably be classes too, but I'm not gonna over-engineer this. All right, so what do these do? Check all, uncheck all, uncheck all, check all. Okay, that works. So the next question is, what does the go button do when clicked? That's what we're looking at here. Go button click. Let's put a breakpoint, hit the go button. So breakpoints are our friend to see what's going on. Step over, step over. So we have base model as dimension 1, style preset is dimension 2. We're going to call generate image grid dimension 1, dimension 2. I'm going to click the step into button. And then we can go to this next function and see how the flow continues. We have the, let's see. So it found the grid container, it empties it. Grid container, if we want to visualize it, is the main stage. That's right. Selected models. Let's see how this works. There's no selected models here. That's wrong. So container.find, container is the let's see. Model selection. And then it does find input checked for each. Actually, it did work. I think I should have clicked go into, but it's fine, it works. So we can click step out, continue along here. So We have 6 models selected, 66 styles selected. I hate those numbers, but that's what the numbers are here. The rows equals dimension 1. Oh, this is kind of weird. This is weird. Yeah, that's totally wrong. Let's complain about this. But first, what I want to do is come back over here. What we can do is copy the prompt, and then I can start a new chat. Control K, new blank slate. And what I'm gonna do is just paste this. So I pasted all the code with one fell swoop there. There's a big problem with the implementation of generate image grid. The dimensions are not simply base, model, and style. There are other possible options such as CFG, number of steps. What else? Okay, that's kind of interesting though. We got something here. I think we're gonna have to change it to have some scroll. Positive prompt, negative prompt are the others. Let's also put, I'm realizing we need 2 more settings in the left panel. Well, yeah. For positive and negative prompt variations, there should be an option to decide how many variations we want. And for each variation, there should be a content editable div that we can type into, or put in parentheses, importantly, click a AI generate variations button. Or how about enhancements? So we're closing in, actually. I mean, it's a pretty ambitious goal that we had here. So based on the selected dimensions and the configurations in the left panel, the grid should be constructed. There are also some problems with the grid. There should be labels alongside and above each row and column, respectively. This will tell us what is different from row to row, column to column. For longer text, just put the first few words and ellipses and a title attribute so we can mouse over for details in the tooltip. All right, almost there. Also, we need all of the items in a row to be on the same row. This means we'll need horizontal and vertical scrolling in the hashtag main stage. All right, let's see what it comes up with. So it's given us, again, the replacement code. I'm seeing it's passing some more options here for the number of steps, CFG min-max count. That's good. Sorry for the obscene chat on Rumble. I just saw that. I'm going to ban that user. And welcome to everybody who's joining us today. This is the next episode in the series I'm doing on how to use ChatGPT and AI tools to our advantage. I know that a lot of the personalities that conservatives listen to are trying to strategically prevent them from using their intelligence by, filling them full of neurotoxic poison and telling them not to use computers and AI. And so I'm distancing myself as far as possible in all respects and using my brain and programming computers. I feel like that's the opposite of lobotomizing myself. And so fuck all these charlatans and Jim Jones characters, Alex Jones characters. So it's really spewing out a lot of code here, which is good. Better it than me. Let's put this into the code. So we got another 50 or so lines in the HTML. And then we have here the plugin. Let's take the plugin and copy it into place as well. And again, this is why I really like having a fast way to copy and paste between the different code bank to the ChatGPT. All right, let's click go here. Nice, look at this. That's beautiful. It's a sight for sore eyes. So now we have across the top all these different dimensions and down here. So let's try some different stuff out. Now we have style preset on the left for each row, and along the top we have the base model. And let's do, so a couple other things that I'm not seeing here are the positive prompt and negative prompt variations. So let's actually congratulate it a little bit. Wow, that's awesome. But you forgot the positive, negative prompt variations on the left hand side. Oh, awesome. It does. Well, the zoom doesn't really do what I wanted. But it could just be because it looks like it's a little cut off over there. Why is that? It's like it reworked that part of it. We'll fix that. Let's do float right. No. Is it capped over there all the way? Float left. So what is this doing? Okay, display flex. Yeah, it looks like that's all the way over. I was kind of hoping it would go larger than that, but that's fine for now. Let's see what this thing said. You're right, I overlooked adding the content editable divs for the positive and negative prompt variations. Okay, so here is the new HTML. And then we'll also grab the new plugin when it's done. And so this is the point, we're almost at the point where we can plug into the LLMs for more ideas about how to enhance these prompts. And then also we can plug into the AI art generation. It'll be interesting to see all the different combinations on a row column basis of checkpoints and what's it called? Style presets. I'm also curious to be able to do a variety of different enhancements to a prompt, say Taj Mahal, and then it gives me, say, 10 different enhancements to Taj Mahal, like different scenarios, different, way more descriptive. Ah, shoot, it had an error. Ah, it had to redo the whole thing. That's annoying. I have to undo the index HTML. But again, if you're just joining, which I'm guessing a lot of people haven't seen from the very start, we're using something called Octo AI, which has an API. They do a number of different interesting media and text generation services. I like their image animation too. Here's an example image animation. So it takes an input image and it animates it to some extent, which is pretty crazy. But what we're really playing around with here is their ability to create images. And for example, this is an image it created just a second ago. And there are these settings that really make a big difference in how it makes. So this is a photographic style. And you can see it's more lifelike, more like a photo. And then we could do, for example, digital art. And we'll see an entirely different style. Then they have what's called the checkpoints. And those also make a big difference between the different rounds. I mean, this has got some problems with the faces and such. Let's try Real Viz XL. Also, I gotta hit continue, I bet. Yeah. So what I wanted to do is see, okay, all of these settings that we have, what happens if we lay it out on a grid and visualize the differences between the runs? Oh, this one's still running. And so we've made some good progress on that front. That's a bit wonky there, how it's scrolling. Let's figure that out. Well, it's going to replace everything in a second. Hopefully it makes it through this time. It might be beneficial to move these into a separate JSON file or something so it doesn't have to actually consume them and repeat them each time. Okay, we made it. So let's try this out. We got the index HTML. It's a shame because the other one was much longer. Let's see if where it's adding this. Okay, positive prompt variations. But yeah, I liked it before better. And what's cool is I have a copy of that somewhere, I bet. In my project backups, it's taking backups. I can't find it. But I'm not seeing where it's actually going to fill this in. So where is it actually? I mean, it asks. Here it's asking how many negative and positive prompts do we want? Between 1 and 16, or 1 and 10. But there's no place that actually has the variations. So we could either ask here. Okay, let's just ask. I see you added hashtag positive prompt variation input box and negative prompt variations box. But where is the list of content editables that corresponds with each? Okay, so we're seeing now. I'm not sure if this is going to work because I see that it's passing along to the jQuery plugin the text boxes, but I'm not seeing where it's going to. Let's give it a second, see what it comes up with. But it actually needs to list them out. And I want to be able to say, like, okay, this is a Taj Mahal with an alien invasion. Not that I really believe in aliens or anything. But, okay, so it does have a container here now. So there is a problem here, though, because that should be passed along as part of the jQuery plugin here. But again, it's not the end of the world. So here, generate prompt variation inputs, container equals. So that would be pretty easy to fix, actually. But this is just hard coding. Like, go to this element on the page, use that. And really we want it to be, since we're inside of a plugin here, use whatever was passed to it for that purpose. And actually, ideally, it should generate all this HTML on its own as part of the initialization. All right, so it's almost there. Let me take this opportunity to remind people we have an awesome website, groupdiscover.com, with a huge repository of over 27,000 documentaries and informative videos. So come join us over there, keep this work alive, and empower yourself with all this awesome information we have cataloged in a searchable format. All right, back to the show. So we got the HTML, and we'll grab the JavaScript. I know everybody wants to see these this grid light up with real images in a second. I do too. We'll get there. See how this did. So I see these new variations. Nice. So if I click, it's increasing the number of the variations, which is awesome. And if I subtract, it subtracts. So we definitely need a button here at some point to load up from an LLM better suggestions. And another idea that I just had is it'd be cool to have on the main prompt a way to improve it, but we can always just go to another LLM for now. Okay, there's so many different ways we could go with this. I don't want to spend the rest of my life building this. So we'll keep it simple for now. The base model, the style preset, go. All right, let's try adding a couple variations to positive prompt. Base model, positive prompt, go. Nice. And we can mouse over it and see. That's beautiful. So I'm thinking we might need 2 buttons at the bottom. The go button might be preview. It's a little bit confusing because then we need, yeah, let's do preview and generate. Just as a sanity check so we don't, and we'll just continue calling it go button for historical reasons, as they say. And then we'll say generate images. This is where it gets fun. So next to the go button, we're going to add generate images button. And we'll just copy the logic here. On click, what do we want to do? So I kind of want to pass this along to ChatGPT. To do, replace each of the, see what we're dealing with at this point. It actually made an image. Found a website, via.placeholder.com, which has a 100 by 100 placeholder image. That's funny. Didn't even know that website existed. Okay. So just trying to get some keywords here. Each of the dot image grid placeholder images with a generated image from, and let's get some example code here. So I think the best place to go would be that other page we were just looking at. So I think it's called perfect image prompt, image gen prompt. Try to move this over. Also, while I move this over, if you have any tasks that need some intelligence thrown at it, some AI thrown at it, or just web technology, which is super powerful, or database technology, send me an email and I can consult for your company. I'd be happy to. Or just for any personal projects you have for your own personal endeavors. Just send me an email, timtruth@protonmail.com, and I'd be happy to work for you to keep this work alive. I'm looking for such types of jobs because I think it's good for me to stay sharp on what I'm trying to practice and also get paid for it. So I'm looking for such opportunities. If you have such an opportunity, reach out, and I think I'm the lowest cost option you'll be able to find as far as the total functionality for cost. All right, so I'm trying to move this over. You can see how much I spend my days coding all these files that I've been working on since I last edited this file. And I'm almost, okay, I think we're almost there. Okay, wow. So what I wanted to grab here was the actual final run gen image. Replace each of the image grid placeholder images with the generated image from genImage. From generate image. This dot generate image. And then we'll make a generate image. Please keep the comments on topic. All right, so let's come through here. Take this off. Host and model name. I don't think we really need host or model name here. Let's see what it would be in this case over here. So final run gen image, if we put that in the console, we click this little arrow, put a breakpoint. I think it's going to be SDXL. Yeah. And the host is OctoAI. So, yeah, we don't really need to do if host equals OctoAI. It'll always be. It's my favorite provider for this. What we will do is make prompt string the sole parameter here. So, okay, let's see. Var host equals OctoAI. Var model name equals SDXL. So we do need some way to put in the future the just put it to do add the negative prompt. All right, so let's see. Let's also just put this as checkpoint up here. Checkpoint and style preset. And then we don't need to read from the... I'm copying this from another file, so we're just kind of repurposing this code. All right, and then what else does it do? Sim parts. Okay, we need the width and the height. It's actually pretty picky about this, but we're just going to always do 1024 by 1024. Has to be on their list of permitted sizes. Additional lines, don't need that. Don't need any of this. Do need this, run image gen, but I'm realizing I need to figure out where this code is. AI multimedia client JS. So there's a couple files we're going to need here. Might as well just do that now. Some that we used in last night's stream. We need AI client. We need these. Actually, shoot, that should go up a level. We need these PHP files. And then we also need to go dig deep into my other repository, AI multimedia client. That goes in my JS folder. And then we need to include this in my markup here. All right, we're getting close. So run AI image gen takes a data object. Let's see if we can pass a negative prompt here. So I I have all these intricate ways to access all the different providers, because sometimes you have to go through pinholes if you're on a local host. So I think I should grab some other code for this. Let me hide my screen for 1 second. Trying to get all the plumbing hooked in. Okay, that's false, but where is that set up? Discover grid transcribe JS config. All right, we got to bring this in. Show my screen again. All right, we're getting there. And let's keep following this through. Image URL equals get the loc plus the base URL. Row run row L. So this is where we actually have to use the image URL. If the success is equal to false, I'm not going to worry about that right now. We'll just assume it'll succeed. Figure it out if it doesn't. Okay, so I don't even think we need any of this. I'm just going to take this off. All right, so now we have this function here, generate image. Takes the prompt string, the checkpoint, the style preset. Should really take a negative prompt as well. And we're building up this data object here. Also, a lot of this is kind of stupid and redundant. Let's do this right. Put it all in this one object. Where's my style? Okay. Now I also want to put the negative prompt if we can. Let's see here. Negative. Okay, so there's negative underscore prompt as an option. So we have prompt string, negative prompt. All right, so that should be good. So what I want to try first, and I'm going to hide my screen just out of an abundance of caution. I just want to try AI, or sorry, that's the wrong page. It's loading. There it goes. AI, not that. AI, what did I call this? Oh, I didn't. I do want to do it this way. So var AI art brainstorm. equals. So then I should be able to do, or it's brainstorm dot generate image, takes a prompt string, Taj Mahal, negative prompt will be blurry. Got to remind myself what it is here. Checkpoint will be real viz XL. Trying to get these parameters right, then hopefully it'll make an image. I'm sure it'll mess up first though. So the checkpoint, we can do real viz XL. I'll just show you what I'm looking at here. I might have to hide right when I run it. So Taj Mahal, blurry is the negative prompt. There's our checkpoint. And the style preset's the last thing I need to find. 3D model. All right, moment of truth. It's not going to work though. Generate random string is not defined. I don't even need that, honestly. Take that off. So it's not finding my transcribe query, which makes sense because I need to bring that in. Try it again. Warning, require once. Transcribe API, pinhole server, config not found. We can fix that. We could probably find a way just to do this straight to the Octo AI. Although I think Octo AI needs to go through a pinhole, which is why I spent so much time building all these different robust ways to talk to these different servers out there. Try this again. It's looking for a different file now. AI multimedia client. We can fix that. Now it's looking for another one I can't find. Okay, so now it got an image. Actually, I think we need to also cap it at one image because my server defaults to 2 images, and I really don't want to overdo the generations here. So let me make sure I make that change too. Just 1 image at a time, since we're actually doing like sometimes more than 100 at a time. Don't want it to be double. So failed to open the stream because we need to basically make a multimedia output folder. We're getting close though. So this is where all the images will reside. Try this again. I think it worked. What are the odds? Nice. Look at this. We got some Taj Mahals in the image folder. So let me let's check out our fruit of our labor here. Taj Mahal 1, Taj Mahal 2. That uses the 3D checkpoint. So, getting close. This is how we do the generation. So, replace each of the image grid placeholder images with the generated image from using something like this. And we should also have a callback. So callbacks are good because it's going to take a little bit and we want to run this right after it's done. So right after it's done, it's going to take the path to image and it's going to do something with the image. Let's console log it for now. And what else? We'll put a to do. To do. Put this in the grid. We want the images to also serve as links to open the image in a new tab so we can see full detail. All right, that's a mess up here. All right, what else? I think we're getting close. Oh, we need to implement the callback as the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th parameter here. Don't need this. So there should just be one image here. We're not being fancy and making multiple. So instead of just console logging it, we do the callback, passing it as well. All right, getting close. So now I want to go back over here. This is why I love this code sculptor. I just click copy. Come over to ChatGPT. Paste it. I already have a description of what I'm doing. I need your help with the generate, what is it called? The generate images button. Which, as you can see in the code, should invoke this .generate image for each of the images in the grid, passing the appropriate settings to the function. All right, we're getting close. Let's just fire this off, see what it comes up with. Again, big coupon for people who want to join groupdiscover.com, where I share all my finds. Anti-poison. Anti-poison. Screw all the people pushing these metals on us, telling us to eat metal, telling us to eat charcoal, telling us to eat methylene blue, telling us to eat clastogenic poison like ivermectin, telling us to inject terrible anti-fertility poisons. To hell with all of them. I hope you rot and burn in hell forever and ever and ever. And To everybody else, you're welcome to join. Just use the coupon code anti-poison when you sign up. Also, if you need any help leveraging this amazing new technology that's really akin to like the advent of the computers, advent of internet, I almost want to say advent of fire and electricity. I mean, this AI stuff is going to be absolutely nuts. Feel free to send me an email. I'd be happy to do consulting for you and develop and build whatever systems you need. Just send me an email, timtruth@protonmail.com. There's also tons of great solutions out there, like on ThemeForest. If you need like a site for your business, I recommend ThemeForest, and I can help you get any of these templates up and running, built for your purpose. So what I recommend is come to ThemeForest and go to WordPress themes. Search around in here. There's tons of amazing themes that you can save a ton of time because somebody's already designed and developed them. All right, so we have the new updates. Should we try it? Of course. So it's just giving me pure plugin this time, which is good. I guess our HTML is solid. All right. So we click preview. This is probably too many to try at once. Let's simplify this to like a simple 3D model and all of these, except for the default. Preview. I do want to hide my screen just in case something breaks and shows a password or something. Generate images. Wow, it's, oh, nice. Look at this. So there's some issues with the sizing, but we have the grid showing, wow. Okay, so the last thing is just figuring out the sizing here. That is satisfying. All right, let's just complain at it. Pretty great, but the images are way too huge. I liked the sizes of the placeholder images much better. Actually, let's shoot for 200 by 200 sizing, which will be varied by the zoom grid slider setting. So the smallest setting on zoom on the zoom slider will be 50, well, let's see, 100 by 100, and the largest 512 by 512. Just fire that off. So of course we've got to try some crazy combinations here. Also, I want to fix the styling of this button here. We'll basically copy the go button. And we'll just make the preview button blue. Let me know in the chat if anybody has any suggestions as to what we should generate. Where's the go button? Oh, here it is. And let's pick a good color for the preview button. Also, I want to put a little margin around to the right. Put a little space in between those. All right, let's see what it came up with. So I'm going to see how good we can get this in the next 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and we'll try to keep this under 3 hours. I was watching the chess today. They had like the Norway tournament. I've never watched chess before, but the last couple days I've been watching, and it's pretty fun to watch. It's interesting because I've had mixed feelings about chess before because of the impact of computers, but actually I think it's still super fun to watch like really talented people compete in their realms of proficiency. And it's interesting too because the commentators will bring out the computer analysis and say like, "Oh, that's a really interesting move. The computers would have done something different." Which is the sidebar. But I think the same thing will be true for all these different realms that computers are stepping into. Just like, computers beating people at chess was one of the first like real jaw-dropping moments. And I was watching, I forgot the guy's name. The U.S. It's like Makimoto or something. I forgot the guy's name, but he's like right up there, maybe number 2 or 3 behind Magnus. And he was reviewing a clip in a video I saw whereby he was watching Bobby Fischer complain about how chess had gotten boring to him, and it's all just like people hiring huge teams and getting computers, and this guy was like, that's the same thing that's happened to all these different fields. Like, it's the same thing that's happened to all the different fields. And I thought that was a great point. Okay, so let's try this out here. Let's, again, keep it simple, not eat through all of the tokens, but we can try this. This will be a good test. I'm just going to, let me pop this out to a different window. That'll minimize the chance I show something crazy. I'm not even showing my screen. Here we go. So we have all of the different items up on the grid here. I just had a little subset of some of the styles, some of the models, and let's click generate. So I'm watching the network. I can see it's fired off maybe 40 or so different image generation requests. Hopefully this works. And we'll see it fill in when it comes back. Oh, we're starting to get responses, although I'm not seeing it. It's still making 2 images per, which is a mistake. How did that? So I used twice as many credits as I meant to there. And I'm not seeing them show up in the grid yet. Oh, there they go. They're too big again. Sorry, I'm not even showing my screen. Here we go. So we'll come back to that in 1 second. I wanted to make sure I don't do the mistake again of num images. Images to generate image. Images to gen is right here. Run image gen. Fields to pass. Let's put this in this fields to pass. That might help. That's probably it. All right, so coming back over here, it's still drastically the wrong size. Okay, but the slider at least helps. Okay, that's cool. So as long as we can use the slider, I think it's fine. Look at that. I like the abstract. The click works. That's a pretty cool picture right there. And I like seeing them side by side by side. All right. So let's see here. Only one little bug. Where I have to use the zoom slider, which works great because the images start out way too big. You need to use the zoom slider setting for the initial sizing. So what should we try next? I think we've done enough Taj Mahal. Let's just ask ChatGPT. No, we're not going to ask ChatGPT. What are some good photos we could pick? That was another thing I wanted to do. We didn't have time, but I wanted to have a starting page that has, like, you know, some text box that you can do, and then it gives you a bunch of suggestions, and with each of the suggestions a little picture representation so you can eyeball it real quick. So I think ChatGPT really shines once you have a pretty good working system. So it can be a little bit hard to bridge from nothing to this point where we're sitting on pretty good code that explains itself. So if you think about it, it's like I typed out a very long prompt, exactly what I'm building, how it's being built, because it's all self-contained, self-described in the code, which ChatGPT can read. So I don't have to spec it out as much because it's all right there. And I can say, this is working pretty well, but I have this one issue here. So that's why I thought it was so important to sit, and when we were looking earlier in the show at the beginning, when we were looking at the functions that it was coming up with. And that's what these are all right here, like set zoom slider, generate all images, zoom grid. These are all the functions that we ended up with. So it was time well spent. All right, so it's giving me this new plugin code. And this is another good reason to separate code into as many different parts as you can, because this is already 354 lines, and we've done already probably 10 different versions of it at least, right? So it prevents it from having to tell us the whole HTML, everything each time, and sometimes it'll get sloppy and omit some stuff that we need. All right, so let's try this again. What should we draw this time? An amazing sunset with gorgeous mountains and ocean scenery. With vivid orange and red sky, showcasing the glory of God Almighty. And we'll start with a simple test. Let's do a couple of our favorites here. Cinematic, comic book, let's do craft clay, cubist, digital art, dreamscape. I'm just going to do a couple for now. Click preview first. So this is kind of what we're looking for. And I'm going to make sure I have that open for myself. All right, let's generate the images. Now, I'm not sure why it waits to put them in the grid until they're all done. Also, if I try making this slider a little bit beforehand. All right, so it fired off a bunch of requests. I would guess 40 or so. And it's getting the response back. It's only one image per, which is good. So we're not doubling up anymore. Let me know in the chat if anybody has any image requests. But I think this was a pretty fun demo. Kind of shows people what is possible with the image generation, what's possible with the APIs. In the future, there's going to be so much software given to everybody for free or for very low cost. That's like one of the beautiful things about the ChatGPTs of the world, is the cost of making software is going way down. And so everyone's going to benefit from it. except for maybe software developers. But also, I think software developers benefit from it if they use it. So we got all these images. Advertising chose to put it on a wall. So very interesting. I'm trying to see if I can tell a big difference between the checkpoints. Those are the different rows. I like this one, Cubist. This is exactly what I was picturing. I like the craft clay too. All right, so let's ask ChatGPT. Can you give me some awesome AI art generation prompt ideas akin to this one? Let's ask for 5. All right, I like tropical beach paradise. All right, so let's figure out which ones I like the best from, I'm going to go new tab here. I like Real Viz. I kind of like all of them. And then we'll pick which styles we want. Celestial night over a serene lake sounds pretty nice. So we'll do this here. Enhance fantasy. We'll do even some of the ones that are a bit different. Not my favorites, but it'll be interesting to see. Isometric, impressionist, hyperrealism. We'll even do like horror, graffiti, gothic. The paper ones are cool. We'll throw a dystopian in there too, just to see the differences, right? I kind of want to do most of these. Just clicking through. Pop art, psychedelic. I don't need real estate. Renaissance, retro arcade, retro game, silhouette, space, stacked paper cut, stained glass, steampunk. We'll even do some of these weird ones. Strategy game, surrealist. All right, let's try it. That's a lot of them. I don't know if I need to click preview first, but we'll do it. Generate. And we'll do a new tab here. Multitask. A mountainous landscape at dawn. Pink and gold. That sounds cool. And it looks like all my settings got saved here. We'll add disco. Let's add alien too. Why not? Fire these off. And then let's... Tropical beach paradise sounds nice. Fire that off too. All right, and now we wait. Thank you again to people who watched this episode and who have been watching the series. I hope it inspires you to go out and build something. And if you don't want to build it yourself and you have some idea, reach out to me. I'll be happy to help. And we can make a deal and everyone will be happy. Also, while we wait, let me remind people we have a great website called groupdiscover.com with a ton of awesome videos in here that you can check out and enjoy. Whenever I find a video, I share it on here. And we have a 50% off coupon for people who don't like poison. and are sick of all the poison operations, just use the coupon code anti-poison. All right, let's wait here. For some reason, and this is kind of a bug that maybe we should try to fix, although I'm kind of tapped wrapping up here, but it like waits for all of them to finish and then it renders them, which I don't understand why I'd have to do that. It should be able to put them piece by piece in as they are done. And hopefully it'll work. Still waiting here. I wonder if I stepped on the usage limit for Octo AI. Probably not. I think I still have some credits in there. Let me check. Yeah, I've only used like $2 worth today. And I should have opened up, I wish I'd opened up the debugger for each of these so I could see how the progress was going. There's certainly a lot more than the last time, the last few runs. We can look at these while we wait. 3D model's nice. That's weird. It's like my computer's laggy. Oh, we can look at my folder. I'm saving these all to my disk. Also, I'm going to turn this off over here. See, it's weird that this is going so slow now. Okay, it's definitely got a lot of images in here. It's still going, so that's good. We didn't get capped off at the source. You can see it's still filling up. Definitely rooms for improvement, but we did this in one sitting. We've got 371 images we've generated so far. And it's really bringing my computer to it's really bogging it down. Can't even load this in my browser, which is super weird. So we'll just sit tight. I do want to finish with this finale here. And what did we end with as far as the code length? Let's see. The jQuery plugin is about 350 lines of code. The HTML page is about 220. We're up to 415 images in the newly created output folder. I definitely went all out for it. I loaded up 3 image grids to the max, to the brim, fired them off, quick succession. Let me show you. This might be more fun to watch. And we're just waiting for it to all finish up and render out. I really like these grid images, or excuse me, the paper-based ones. That one's cool. That one's really cool. coming up on 500 generations, so it's still plugging away. Didn't break yet. Although it looks like most of these are... I don't even know. I don't know which of the prompts each of these are. Let me again share my email if anybody needs to reach me for any sort of consultancy request. It's timtruth@protonmail.com. Also, check out my Substack, timtruth.com, and that'll take you straight there. I'm going to be posting more and more code, but I already have some great code there for BERT model training for text classification, which is just a killer use case for these AI models. And I'm going to be posting more about neural networks. I was looking today, I can talk about this while we wait. I was looking today at the possibility of combining BERT and neural networks. So there's actually a number of possibilities, ways to combine the two. We could use BERT to give like a strength indication for how much you might like something. So if you put something in a yes and no category, and then you just look at the percentage chance that it's a yes, in a way that's just giving you a score about how much you like something. So that could feed right into a neural network. Also, you could put things into, say, 7 categories, and then those 7 categories would fly into the neural network, and you'd have like an nn.embedding layer, which can map those down to, say, 3 dimensions. And so those 3 inputs would go along with all your other numerical and categorical inputs. And then the neural network would learn how to make predictions based off all that. And then in the future, you could just have your data and make predictions about how much you like something, taking into account not just the text, which we already have with BERT, but also numerical and categorical features, all combined. All right, so we're up to 600 items. I think I overdid it with the with the requests here, and we did them all at the same time too. It's also crazy to me that these my local host doesn't even load up here at the moment, which might be an issue. It's just, I think, so bogged down trying to save off these images. There's probably a huge queue, because I'm guessing Octo AI just gave them all back at once, and there's just a big lineup to save off. Which would probably be a reason to put like a staggering to the requests. It's good they didn't block us, but to say like every 3 seconds ask for a new image, or every 1 second, that would give us time to save it as they come in. But I think it's still going to work out. Each of these are 1000 by 1024 by 1024. And we're verging on 700 images. Let me know in the chat if anybody has any questions as we wait for the finale here, and then we'll start winding down. Thank you again for joining. I want to shout out this comment I got. Salty Mad Jameson says, I'm loving this series, Tim. Thanks for uploading and recording. The one-to-many to many-to-one visual relationship of neural networks got my brain clicking. Well, thank you very much. And I'm also getting a ton of hate about posting this stuff for whatever reason. I think probably because my enemies out there are vested in trying to convince people not to use their brain, rather to neuter and lobotomize themselves with clastogenic neurotoxin ivermectin. I've made a lot of enemies because I come at this from the community. I'm in the poison cult, and so it's different than like Fauci coming out and saying, don't eat cyanogenic bitter apricot kernels. Everyone's like, oh, that means we need to take it. And I'm like, dude, this is obviously a con. You guys are being genocided. Why do you think that, you're off the hook just because you found out about one of the poison ops? You know the one I'm talking about. You found out about one of the poison ops, and then you're off the hook. You figured it out. Nobody's going to target you for depopulation. No, we are more targeted for depopulation. So who do you think is going to do the bidding? Well, probably wolves in sheep's clothing that you trust. So I'm going to continue to call these people out, and I'm building up the tool set, the arsenal, to deal some heavy blows against these cretins. These terrible people pushing terrible poisons. All right, let me see. Oh, I missed some comments from Aram. Here's an image request. Oh, I missed that. Sorry. Let's see. Oh, I already saw that. You already shared that. Let's see. Oh, yeah, these people shilling ivermectin is a joke. Yeah, these people are terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible. And they don't ever actually address the many, many legitimate complaints I brought up about the terrible poison ivermectin. They just say stupid shit. I've heard it all. All right, maybe we could get an eyeball, an estimation of how many. Oh, it's interesting too. I opened up my dev tools, and I can see these requests are still going out. I definitely bit off more than I could chew here. Ah, shoot, I'm getting some errors too. Invalid request. Input should be. Okay, so at least one of these is just not a good option. What's interesting though is, let's see. Can you review this list and the following error message? And let me know which items are not on the valid items list and which I'm missing that are acceptable. So this is the error message. Like I don't think I saw GTA or Super Mario. Maybe I did. Okay, now we get some responses coming in, which is good. Did we see GTA? It seems like they've updated their list, and I'm using an old stale version. We don't have to do a part 2 of this, where we take everything we learn. But let me see. Where's my other list? So here's my list. There's the error message. Yeah, if anybody's trying to share a Substack with people, it's just timtruth.com. Super easy. I'm not going to redirect people to Rumble anymore. They shill ivermectin on my videos, and I fucking hate it. It's so obviously a depopulation campaign against the conservatives. Like, right side news broadcasting is just always like, sponsored by the sickness company. Take this ivermectin. All right, let's see. Alien, flat paper clip, should be flat paper cut. Model compounding should be model dash compounding. Real estate should be real estate photography. And we also missed those items. So see, this is where ChatGPT just is pretty clutch. And then I can just copy and paste this here. So there might be some columns. Hopefully it doesn't screw up the whole process, but okay, so we're getting some results back. Nice. Okay, let's check these out. So, towering snow-capped mountains. I'm not showing my screen. Towering snow-capped mountains bathed in the soft hues of dawn, with the first light of the morning sun illuminating the peaks in pink and gold. A pristine lake at the base of the mountains reflects the dawn sky, while a meadow of wildflowers in the foreground adds a splash of color and life. Beautiful. Alien might be one of my favorites here. It does have some like weird stuff in the sky, mountains in the sky. The flowers are cool. I just like seeing all the variety in the grid format. This is what I was picturing. And of course, there's lots of other options that we didn't explore, such as the variations of the prompts, the number of steps in CFG. Craft clay I really like. Cubist. Now we can see why it took so long. It's a lot that we requested. Dystopian is kind of not my favorite there, but it's good to see the variety. I'm also glad we fixed the error that we caught at the initial, the onset of this stream, where I'm like, all these oceans look the same. Okay, here's one of these rows that I made some mistake and it doesn't actually exist. But it's good that it didn't break the whole flow. Graffiti is nice. I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting like some spray paint on a wall. Gothic too is looking pretty good. Horror, it's kind of like dystopian. I also like we can see some definite difference here for this column here. What is this one? Duchitin? Is that a word? Duchitin. Oh, it's an artist on DeviantArt. Very cool. Looks like they're not just on DeviantArt, but that's the first result. And then crystal clear at the bottom. Looks nice too. What is this one? Comic book? Yeah. Craft clay is great. This one doesn't look like clay though. Oh, it kind of does. These ones definitely more so. So it gives you the idea of where the sweet spots are, the combinations. Let me make sure I'm sharing my screen. I'd hate to be ranting away here. Okay. These are nice. Little combination of ugliness, the code, looking at code, and then the beautiful result of the code, which is, you know, a typical pattern that we see. You got to kind of slog through the ugly stuff to get to the beauty. So here's another clay model. Modeling compound, which is interesting because it told us that that was a mistake, right? And then we changed it, but it actually ended up working. What is this one? Monochrome? That looks pretty cool. Neon Noir? That's awesome looking. So I find this very satisfying all in all. Okay, here's a different section. Paper mache. These are really nice. It's unbelievable that this is possible. I mean, really mind-blowing to me. What is this one? The pixel art? This psychedelic one's interesting. Renaissance looks really cool. So there's the dawn mountain, snow-capped mountains. Let's go to the next one. Here's the tropical beach at sunset. Again, it's interesting to see the variety between the different styles. That's where we see the most variety. But there's also definitely differences between the different checkpoints, as they're called. And maybe I should zoom out a little bit. We can see them all at once. Cinematic looks really cool. So yeah, I'm definitely seeing a difference with Samaritan, especially in this region here. This is interesting. That's disco. Oh, they got disco balls everywhere. That's kind of ridiculous. So there are some missing gaps here. Probably I overdid it. Need to optimize or something. That's nice. What's cool too is, should we try the animate feature? Image animation. This is definitely a little buggy here. Do we just drag onto it? Nope. Reset. Oh, there we go. Very finicky. Probably better to use the API for this. Let me try to find this. Let's see how it does. I think it's going to be decent. The other day we tried one with a big wave, and it didn't work. It just moved to the left, the whole image. But I think that this will be a little bit better, especially because we generated it from Octo. All right, let's try it. Look at that. We just generated the image, and then we turned it into a video. It's got some movement in the sky. The waves are pretty top-notch. I'm impressed. So hopefully I'm giving people some ideas, at least about what's possible. Even if you don't want to jump on the opportunity, just knowing what's out there is a good thing, I think. Better than being ignorant. This one's cool. Oh, that's horror. It's supposed to be horrific. What is this one? Impressionist? I like it. Definitely like a painting style. Neon Noir is nice. Should we try making this into an image? And while we wait for that, let's go check out the, I know we had one more. This one looks like it might have had some more gaps in it. Oops. So this is the lake with the celestial night. It's still kind of bogged down here. Okay, the video's come back. That one's got a lot of wave action. A lot of sky action too. It's cool how it's able to do that, right? Like how... It must be doing... I've seen some pretty interesting demonstrations of... what's it called? Depth detection. Like it can take a video, obviously, or even generated art like this, and it'll know that the trees are closer, say, than the sky. And that might be a very helpful step of the process to be able to have the sky move. That is crazy to me. And we saw ToonCrafter the other day, which is pretty awesome, but that takes 2 images, a before and an after. This just takes 1 image and animates the backgrounds and stuff. Crazy new world of possibilities. Okay, so this finished loading, although we have some a lot of missing gaps here. And it's not letting me use the slider, but whatever. Oh, it might be because it's on a breakpoint. Let me fix that. Aha. That's a great thing that I figured that out. So one thing is when you have the debug mode open and there's an exception. So the exception we had was the one we just asked ChatGPT to help us fix, which is that there's an error that basically I sent a request with an option that doesn't exist, that I thought existed. And so when that happens, the debugger pauses right before the break happens so you can explore in the context. But if you don't know about that feature, or if you forget that you have the debugger open, it can be frustrating, especially if you waited 10 minutes for the awesome art to come back. All right, that's pretty nice. What is this? Anime style? Now I just want to run everything through the I want to run everything through this video generation. Let's try that. Octo is pretty impressive. And the fact that all of this is available through the API is really cool. All right, let's look at the craft clay. It's always one of my favorites. Let's just open all these up. That's crazy. It actually looks like clay. I mean, all of these look like what it's trying to look like, but I like that they did the clay proof of concept. I don't know what that's supposed to be. A rainbow? Oh, we got the video back. Oh, the moon's moving across the sky. Probably not the right part. Actually, it's kind of what we see, right? The moon. Like that George Harrison song, Here Comes the Moon. So I think we all get the idea. Very cool. I like this one too. I haven't ever heard of this style. Kurigami. The Japanese art of folding paper. Heard of origami. I wonder what the etymology is of this. Let's just ask ChatGPT. This is what I like about ChatGPT, is you can phrase the question like, I noticed a similarity in the words and origami. Can you explain the Japanese etymology for these terms? Both are terms related to paper art. Origami means folding paper. Kirigami means cutting paper. See? I mean, that's helpful. As much as people want to shit on AI, that's pretty helpful. That's beautiful. So is that. I like this one too, modeling compound. Glad it worked. I was a little worried there from the error message we got in GPT's analysis. But this is nice too. It's also interesting to think about how concepts are represented in the model latent space. So that must be like a shooting star or something, right? Oh, these are cool too. Paper mache and paper quilt. Is that what it says? Paper quilling. Let's open these up. And what I do here is I just use the middle mouse click, opens the links in a new tab. It's the scroll wheel if you click down on it. And that's pretty standard across all pages, not just this one. So I'm just opening up some of my favorite renders here. I'm not a huge fan of pixel art, but I know a lot of people do like that, and it's cool that it can handle that. Pointillism is pretty cool looking. Open some of those up. Renaissance is nice. Psychedelic is interesting. Pop art's interesting. Stacked paper, I like. Stained glass is another one that's pretty different. I have no idea what steampunk is, but it looks like there's a lot of gears. Strategy game, it's interesting. I kind of want to know what GTA is. Is that Grand Theft Auto? That game's got like a cult following. I never really got that. That's nice. Yeah, the pointillism is interesting style. I don't know what's going on in front of the moon there, but I like the cabin in the canoe, the water. That one's nice. It's really cool how it can do like reflections on the water as all part of the image. And again, as we talked about earlier, it's all using diffusion, where it starts out as a noisy mess, tons of noise, just a bunch of like pixelated static, and then it removes the noise till it achieves what you asked for. The models are trained to remove noise. That must be psychedelic style. Which I'm anti-psychedelics, by the way. But the art form is interesting. That's cool. And we saw these. So I think that's pretty awesome. What we were able to achieve in 3 hours there. And there's so many different directions that we could take this. Maybe we'll do a part 2. Maybe we'll just go on to something else. It's always fun too. But I think I've conveyed a lot of what I'm trying to as far as how to use ChatGPT to make web technology. And I think that making worksheets like we did in the last stream, if you haven't seen that, that's a good one to go check it out, can really streamline what we're trying to achieve or help us get there faster. Oh, this is weird. I've never seen this happen before. This is like another page coming into this page. I wonder if that means I have some broken HTML somewhere, but I can open a new tab here. This is what I meant to show. Oh, actually, I think I know what it is. I have HTML as part of my code. Oh shoot. That probably didn't help the what we were trying to accomplish there. Wow. Because I think I copied this into the text prompt. So I actually had a bug which probably made our life a little bit harder there. What I should have done, and we can make this change real quick, in the jQuery plugin maker. So I have seen this error before. I thought it was a browser error, but it's all on this page. Usually you don't see pages going into one another, but when you're copying from one to the other, you do. So I must have a .html somewhere. Probably when I click, yeah, right here, generate code.html. It should be .text. So .html will actually take any HTML you put in there and render it. But .text will put it as text in there. So that'll be an improvement. But we'll wrap it up there. Thank you, everybody. Check out groupdiscover.com. Link in the description. Check out timtruth.com. Check out my YouTube backup channel, which is where I'm doing these live streams. And also my Rumble channel. Just don't click on any of the poison ads they'll shove down your throat, or any of these terrible people that they love to promote that push these terrible poisons. Man, I hate them so much. Shame on all you poison pushers. Rot in hell. Hope you all die. Goodbye.